The galaxy first learned something was wrong when the war fleets of Aurelian stopped moving. For 3 centuries, the Aurelian Empire had expanded like a living storm. Entire star systems surrendered at the sight of their golden ships. At the center of that unstoppable force stood Queen Sereth Valcora, the immortal sovereign, an alien ruler whose name alone ended wars before they began. And then suddenly everything paused. Trade routes reopened. Border conflicts went silent. Diplomats whispered of a secret, an unthinkable rumor spreading through the stars. The alien queen had fallen in love with a human, beginning a meeting no one planned. Elias Wren did not expect to meet a queen that day. He was a systems engineer for the Terran Union, stationed on Outpost Halcyon, a neutral research station near disputed space. His job was simple: keep ancient alien infrastructure from exploding and accidentally starting wars. The day Queen Sereth arrived, the station went into full lockdown. Her ship docked without requesting permission. It didn't need to. Elias watched from behind reinforced glass as she entered the station, tall, luminous, her skin patterned with faint lines of living light. Her eyes held centuries of calculation and something else Elias couldn't name. Fear rippled through the outpost. But when her gaze landed on Elias, it lingered. "You," she said, her voice resonating through translators and bone alike. "You repaired the gravity lattice." Elias swallowed. "Yes, Your Majesty. You altered ancient Aurelian technology and it still functions." He hesitated. "I improved it." The Queen smiled. That smile would haunt the galaxy. An impossible bond. Over the following cycles, Queen Sereth summoned Elias again and again. At first, it was technical questions, then philosophical ones, then questions no one had ever dared ask her. "You are not afraid of me," she observed. "I am," Elias said honestly. But fear doesn't stop curiosity. Among the Aurelians, curiosity was weakness. Among humans, it was survival. Sereth found herself fascinated. Humans were fragile, short-lived, and emotionally chaotic. Yet Elias spoke to her as an equal, challenging her assumptions, questioning her conquests, laughing softly at her threats. For the first time in centuries, Sereth did not feel alone on her throne. Love crept in quietly, dangerously. When the truth emerged, it shook the empire. The immortal queen intended to marry a human. The galaxy's reaction. The response was immediate and violent. Aurelian high lords protested. Religious factions declared it heresy. Allied empires threatened withdrawal. A human consort would destabilize everything. The queen silenced them all with a single decree. "I have chosen." But tradition could not be erased so easily. Aurelian law allowed interspecies marriage under one ancient condition, a law never meant to be tested. The impossible rule. The one rule. The rule was simple in wording, cruel in truth. The human must never change the queen. In Aurelian culture, rulers were immutable. Emotion was considered decay. Attachment weakened authority. Any consort who altered the queen's judgment, even unintentionally, was considered a threat to the empire. If Elias ever caused Sereth to hesitate in war, if she spared a world because of him, if love softened her rule, he would be executed. Publicly. Elias stood in the grand tribunal as the rule was read aloud. "Do you accept this condition?" an elder demanded. Elias looked at Sereth. For the first time since they met, her expression held fear. "Yes," Elias said quietly. "I accept." The galaxy watched in disbelief as the impossible marriage was sealed. Life beside a queen. Elias moved into the imperial citadel, surrounded by beings who despised him. He was monitored constantly. His words recorded. His presence scrutinized. Yet alone with Sereth, the galaxy felt distant. She spoke to him of eternity, of watching stars die, of ruling without rest. Elias spoke of Earth's sunsets, of music, of moments that mattered because they ended. "You make me think," she said once. "That is dangerous." "I know," he replied. "I try not to. But love does not obey rules." The crisis. It came sooner than anyone expected. A rebel system, Karos Prime, defied Aurelian rule. Standard response demanded annihilation, a demonstration of absolute authority. Sereth prepared the order. Elias said nothing. But as the fleet stood ready, Sereth hesitated. Just for a moment. She remembered Elias describing Earth, how humanity learned restraint not through mercy, but through loss. That hesitation triggered alarms across the Citadel. The High Lords confronted her. "The human has changed you," they accused. Sereth looked at Elias across the chamber. He shook his head. "I never asked you to stop," he said. "Do what you must." She understood then. The rule wasn't meant to protect the Empire. It was meant to ensure the Queen never chose love over fear. Sereth made her choice, breaking the rule. The fleet did not fire. Instead, Sereth opened negotiations, something she had never done before. The galaxy froze. The High Lords declared Elias guilty. Execution was scheduled within the hour. Elias was imprisoned beneath the Citadel, bound in energy restraints. He was calm. He had always known this was how it would end. Sereth arrived alone. "I can still stop it," she said, voice trembling. "If I denounce you, if I erase you from history." Elias smiled softly. "Then you'd lose what made this matter." She took his face in her hands. "You were never meant to survive," she whispered. "Neither was love," he replied. Ending, a new rule. At the execution chamber, the galaxy watched. Queen Sereth stood before her people. She raised her hand, and instead of condemning Elias, she shattered the ancient law. "I am changed," she declared, "and I choose to be." The High Lords rebelled. They failed. Sereth's fleets turned inward, not against worlds, but against tyranny itself. Elias was freed. The Empire reformed, not overnight, not easily, but irrevocably. Centuries later, historians would mark that moment as the end of the Age of Fear. Elias did not live forever. Humans never did. But when he died, Sereth did something no Aurelian ruler had ever done. She mourned, and the galaxy learned its final lesson. The most impossible rule was never about power. It was about love.